Time for News You Need. News You Need is a look at current events and how they affect the college community and beyond. And now here's the host of News You Need, Dr. Ed Simpson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting, amazing edition of News You Need. This is the show where we talk with the best human beings in the whole world, which is our USM students. And we have another amazing group here with us today. So why are we here? What's this show all about? Well, this show is about where we talk of news of the day, what's in the headlines, why we might care about that news, and why it's important as citizens to know what's coming at us, what sort of decisions that we need to make as a community, and we can only get that information from the news. That's why we talk about it. And really super excited today because we have two of my students here, unbeknownst to me. So there we go. I'm looking at Lillian. She's smiling. She's going there. What a surprise. So this is amazing. So if you would, introduce yourselves. Tell us your major. Tell us maybe your hometown. And perhaps what your plans are after graduation. So we'll maybe start there.
Okay, so my name is Lauren Patterson. I'm a digital journalism student, and I'm a senior. I'm from Madison, Mississippi, and I'm hoping to work with a news station when I graduate.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Greta Graves. I'm also in digital journalism. I have a minor in social media content and strategy. I'm a senior, so I'll be graduating in May. I live in McGee, which is about an hour northwest of Hattiesburg. And my after graduation plans, I will be attending the Mass Comm Master's program at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Yep, that's right. I understand that you're joining the master's program. That's exciting as well. So I know, because you're in my capstone class, so for those, both of our listeners out there, this is where every major, actually at the university, has a capstone requirement, which means that by the time you get to the end of your major, you're supposed to go into a class and basically show everything you've learned. So we're working on that this semester. So if you would, give us an overview. I know we don't have it all put together yet, but give us an overview of what you're working on in the capstone.
So we're working on diversity throughout USM. What we're trying to identify is like how people feel in different organizations, student life, even the faculty and stuff like that. We want to determine like, is diversity have we come as far as we have today as we were back then, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one angle we're specifically looking at is the racial climate on campus. We're looking at personally, my group is looking at student success, graduation rates, looking at whether it's the same for people of different racial and ethnic backgrounds and how that affects their experience at USM moving forward.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit of hints? What kind of things have we found out?
So one thing we've found is a lot of our interviewees are talking about how, honestly, praising USM for how much we've grown in the past, few years to the past couple of decades. But we have numbers that show that, there may be a disparity there. So we're kind of trying to get to the bottom of why it feels so much better than some of the numbers are indicating, what that could mean for the future and how USM is looking to progress.
Yeah. So, in fact, the numbers are pretty stark, right? If I remember, you guys help me remember these. But so African-American students graduate at a lower rate than all other demographic of students, as I remember. And in terms of faculty, we have a lower percentage of faculty of color than we do percentage of students.
Yeah, one interesting detail about that, we have a survey running just asking people anonymously their experience at USM. And one of the questions, you check the box if it applies to you, says most of the faculty and professors at USM look like me. Only currently, with the respondents we have, only 12% of people say that most of their teachers look like them. And almost all the people who responded to that identify as white.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I've noticed too. What we've noticed throughout my group is we're focusing on student organizations, and what we're determining is like SMAC, which is a student organization. It's mostly African American students, not white students, and it's for our whole community. And a lot of white students do not notice this, and it's very sad. That's what my organization's working on.
So that's kind of interesting, and I haven't dug into that story yet with you all. So yeah, I mean that's kind of a reverse of what you would think, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of the idea that segregation has been illegal since Brown versus Board of Education. Now it took a while after Brown versus Board of Ed in 1954 to get that actually codified across country. Mississippi, of course, is one of the last states. But is there a voluntary segregation going on? Is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're finding in your reporting?
That's what I'm noticing throughout the student organizations, especially SMAC and some of the fraternities and sororities particularly. We're still trying to figure that out and determine the numbers. We're about to do a poll on that. But it's mainly SMAC and then a lot of the fraternities mainly, not many sororities that we're noticing.
As in very few African American students?
Yes. There is one particular fraternity that does not have any African American students, and we're trying to figure out if that is something to do with their alumni or if that is just their choice.
Yeah, that's all fascinating to me. So if anybody out there is interested in learning more about this, we'll have another show, I hope, devoted to this at some point. When we get your reporting all settled and everything. It's a fascinating issue, but we are having a public premiere of our SMTV special. What do we call it? USM.
Diversity and Division.
Diversity and Division. So it's a public premiere, 6 p.m., Stout Hall on April 23rd. Love to have everybody out there to kind of help us look into this issue. And, of course, all of our students who worked on the package will be there as well. All being a big word on some days more than others. So, but that's great. That sounds like a great project. So, what are our students talking about? What's news to our USM students this week, you think?
Something I found interesting, and I've actually asked many people about it, and I did see something about it on Yik Yak. Of course, it's the student
Yik
news.
Yak. Yeah. Woo-woo.
So there is a fraternity that has a person on their exec, and he has 9 Title IXs, and they haven't removed him from the fraternity.
Okay, so that's, do we know that's true?
Yes, it's been proven. They have the documents for it.
Okay, I assume our student media is working on that. Let's hope they are. That sounds like an interesting thing. So that's firing up Yik Yak.
Yes, I've noticed it throughout Yik Yak, and then many other people have talked to me about it. Many other students have talked about it.
Okay, and so now this is interesting. So in student world, when you say Title IXs, what do you all mean?
Sexual assault.
Sexual assault. Okay,
Yes.
so, but we don't know. Now, sexual assault is a wide term that could cover many things.
Yeah, so it could be something, I hate to say, like minor, or it could be something way more extreme. Not trying to be
Right. There's no
insensitive.
such thing as minor sexual harassment,
Yes.
that kind of stuff. But there is, in most people's mind, there's a spectrum of anything from catcalling
Yes.
to rape. And all of that kind of falls under Title IX. So, and this is where the reporting comes in, right? This is where our media comes in to help us understand, well, what actually happened here so we know. Well, that's fascinating. Have you seen that on Yik Yak? Or are you not a Yik Yacker?
So I haven't seen a lot of it on Yik Yak recently, but I am aware of the story for sure. I think one kind of detail that stands out is a lot of the people who have made a claim or pressed forward with something against this individual have the same story.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, we are going to take a break, and we're going to pick up with some other headlines, I think, on the other side.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio. Okay, and we are back. Yeah, so we were talking about now. Yik Yak has actually come up several times on the show, and it does feel like we tend to, and this is like so all social media, we tend to see what's on there and tend to believe it.
There's also the new app called Fizz that's going
I've heard about
around,
Fizz. That's also come up.
but I feel like it's not as many people are on it as Yik Yak.
Yeah. Now, earlier this year, your dean of student affairs did send out a note to our students saying, "Hey, chill out on Yik Yak." Good idea, bad idea?
I don't personally think it's a good idea just because I feel like it's a way for students to inform other students of what's going on without feeling like they have to know who it's coming from. It's like you're anonymous. You have a reliable source. It's not reliable, but you're able to get your word out.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of idea of like comparing the data that we get from different sources and deciding what is credible, especially for news. We have, anonymous surveys. If you have 100, 1,000 people who, even though they're anonymous, they're all saying the same thing, you can use that to indicate a further trend. So if you're using it correctly and using it to direct you to an actual source, I think it's not a bad idea, as long as you don't stop there.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So somebody who looks like me, which of course on radio people can't see me, but basically I'm 1.9 billion years old, just an old guy. The anonymity of information really bothers me, because folks can really truly say anything, especially if there's no accountability for it, right? So Yik Yak, I assume, I've never been there, I don't know what it says. So you don't have to use your name to post anything. Do you have like a sign-on, like?
So there's like basically you have to put your student email in.
Oh, you do. So you use your
Yeah,
USMID.
Yes, you use your USMID, but like your little profile, I think they do now. You have your own like username right now.
You can still be anonymous.
Yeah.
It gives you a username, and like I think mine
Emoticon?
was like and like an emoji. Mine is like a pink circle
And
with
you
like
don't
a
get to
peanut
pick your
emoji.
own emoji?
You can.
Yeah,
you can.
okay,
mine's a
gotcha,
ladybug.
gotcha. Oh, okay.
But you can also choose to not use your emoji.
Okay.
So I remember a few months ago that became a thing with people would post, scandalous or rude things and use a specific emoji to try and make it seem like it was this one person doing this all over
that's
campus.
kind of where I was heading. And that didn't work or did it work?
I think everybody kind of knew it was a joke. If I remember right, it became kind of like a meme on Yik Yak, like, oh, look out for the cowboy, because it was a little cowboy emoji,
okay.
and everybody would make that their emoji, so it looks like everybody was this one person saying all these things.
Wow. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, it's the whole anonymity. Now, of course, I'm an old reporter myself, so the whole idea of this anonymity is a real problem for me in terms of credibility of information. But as far as, hey, this happened, and then looking into it, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you say, okay, yeah, well, we got a tip, this is something we need to look into as a news organization. All that's fair game. But when you're posting it on Yik Yak, it's published.
You can also direct message people about certain things. There was a situation about a sorority girl who said she used a certain term about somebody that wasn't right, and I messaged the person and they gave me the name of the girl.
And what'd you do then?
I looked her up and then I tried to direct message her for our capstone project. It didn't work out.
It didn't
work out,
There you go.
but I tried.
Now, to me, that's a pretty legit use of Yik Yak, right? Is that, okay, we're looking for sources, and you might be a good one to talk to. Okay. Well, that's excellent. Well, what else are we talking about? What else are our USM students talking about?
We had our SM2 talent show last night.
I wondered if, I hope that got some campus vibe, but I'm not sure. But I know here in the school it's a big deal. I watched it. Did you guys watch it?
I was not able to go. I was so sad. It was like last minute I wasn't able to go.
Yeah.
I was very upset.
Yeah, I watched the live stream.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing a live stream this
they
semester.
did. It was great. It was great. They did
I'm
a
gonna
super
see if
job.
I can find that.
It's you just go to okay, everybody out there, you can go to the SM2 Got Talent show, and you go to YouTube, search for Southern Miss Student Media, and it's the first one or two things that pops up. So
Right.
yeah, and it'll be there. They captured it, so it should still be there. Did you see it?
I have not seen it. I plan on watching it later. Quick question: are you determining the winners?
No,
Okay, I just
no.
overheard you earlier, so I was
No,
curious.
I was very upset with the winners. I did not agree with our judges. I'm going to write a sternly worded letter. No, I didn't agree with the winners, but that's okay. I wasn't on the judging panel.
Who did win?
Does anybody know? I don't remember. I don't remember the name. I was upset, so I didn't keep it in my head. But yeah, that'd be interesting to know who the list of winners. I don't know. Lillian's looking it up. So yeah, that was a big deal. That was fun. Anything else we're talking about? Any news? So let me ask you this: do you care about the women's NCAA tournament? Basketball tournament.
Absolutely.
Do you?
I'm in it.
You're all in?
Yes. What is her name? Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin Clark.
Oh, she's iconic. I've never been more interested in basketball.
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing in the numbers, is that more people watched the semifinals. This is the last four teams of the women's NCAA Division I basketball tournament than watched the World Series because of Caitlin Clark.
Hey,
Caitlin Clark.
she's killing it.
Lauren's looking to go, what are you guys talking about? Do you know? Have you heard Caitlin Clark?
Yes, I've heard of her before. I'm not that knowledgeable in sports.
Yeah.
I know that my dad definitely probably has watched it for sure.
I'm not a sports dude. I didn't understand all this until the last 3 or 4 weeks when the national media started picking up. Caitlin Clark is the scoring leader in all of college basketball, Division I basketball, men or women. And she has a massive fan base out there, and so she's going to go to the WNBA. She's just become this huge kind of cultural phenomenon. So, and apparently, and I haven't seen her play, but apparently she shoots 3-pointers from way beyond the 3-point line.
Yeah,
You've seen her?
Yes,
Yeah.
she's incredible.
Yeah,
It's wild.
you can't defend her because she'll shoot from anywhere on the court. So it's really fascinating. So some of our students are following that.
Yeah,
Sort
no,
of.
for
You
sure.
are for sure.
I am.
I know my roommates are. I hear them talk about her. So
Okay.
hopefully that.
Well, let me throw a couple of headlines at you to see if our students care. All right. So this New York. This is a lighter one still. CNN. The total solar eclipse is just days away.
I'm so excited.
Are you guys following the solar eclipse?
Yes,
the
I have.
totality, as they say.
Yes.
Yes, I've been watching like certain places that you're supposed to watch it from, or like how you're at certain points.
Well,
and
we
stuff.
can't even see it here in Mississippi, can we?
I don't even know.
We're way off the path.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Now you're not supposed to look up though and try to see it.
Are you supposed to wear like glasses?
Yes.
Like
Yes, you're supposed to wear glasses. And I think some people have them. Like, I don't know. They're usually free. You pick them up.
I
Yeah.
remember we had one like maybe like 5 years ago, or maybe longer than that, 6 maybe. I remember I wore the little glasses.
Yeah,
with it was
it
so
wa-
much fun.
Yeah, I just remember President Trump at the time looking up at the sun. You remember that? You remember
Yes.
those memes
Yes.
that came out of it? Yeah. So you guys are following the totality, the eclipse.
I'm so excited. I don't think our next one's supposed to come for like decades.
20 years. You guys will be mid-career
Oh,
by the time the next one
Gosh.
comes around.
we're just
We're
gonna
in our
keep
40s.
stacking on
Yeah.
degrees, so I don't have to leave.
I will be gumming yet more tapioca in the home, but you all will be mid-career.
We'll
So
come
that-
visit you.
There you
we'll
go.
watch it together.
Would you? That would be great.
I'm down.
Bring a beer. It'll be great.
We'll put it in our calendars.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's do that. Okay, now a little harder news. The New York Times: Israel disciplines officers for their roles in the drone attack that killed 7 aid workers. So this is where Israel, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, are using drones to continue the war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. And one of their bombs hit, what's it called? Is it Miracle Kitchen? Something Kitchen, where these are an international aid group giving out food to the Gazans. And 7 of them were killed in this bomb that went awry. So are our students watching this?
I mean, I definitely have been watching it. I was watching a whole bunch of videos on it yesterday. I actually learned that they were specifically targeting the cars that they were in. You can actually see footage. There's around 3 different cars that they specifically bombed in 3 different locations, when they're completely separate from where the bomb should be. And it's really sad. And also, I've been looking up on stuff with Biden with it and how he supported the bombs, but yet now he's saying that it's horrible. That's what's going on, even though he was the one who started it.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
hypocritical.
Yeah. So that is actually, we've heard that from our students before. Are you following this, Greta?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was reading about it. It may have been that article. It was something from either New York Times or Washington Post just last night about it.
Yeah.
Or I guess this morning it was like 3 a.m. But yeah, no, it's very tragic how all of this is going, and this seems, in my opinion, a step beyond just war. It's going
Yeah,
really far.
Netanyahu swears that these aid workers were not targeted.
Mm-hmm.
There is video that says, sure looks like they were targeted.
We weren't targeting
Now-
them, just the exact spot where they were standing.
Right. So
Their exact core.
So now both could be true. They could have mistakenly targeted.
Yeah.
But yes, it's so that has caught a lot of attention around the world, and I know our students do feel differently than many others, because I think it's a generational thing. So your circles, do you talk about supporting Gaza and that Israel needs to stop it, or where in your circle, where do our students land?
Personally, with my group of friends, and a lot of my friends do not go to USM, I personally support Gaza just because I see it as a genocide. There's 33,000 people that have died, women, children, and men. I think it's very tragic. That's just how I see it in my eyes. I notice that a lot of people in the USM community they don't boycott, they don't really support it as much, or they do not care.
Yeah, I guess I try to put myself in groups of, somewhat diverse political opinions. I think it's just good for a person to have those
Yeah.
kind of influences. But I think that is something that most of my friends agree on. Is just, this is tragic. This has gone so far.
It's gone way too far. Yeah. So folks in my generation, we tend to support Israel because of the whole just old people thing and all the history. But even those who support Israel from a high level, many believe that it's gone way too far. That being attacked on October 7th, okay, we get that you go in there, you go after the folks who conducted that raid, but then to continue it the way they have, 33,000 dead, I believe that's a figure I
Yes,
heard
it's
too.
33,000.
Women and children and non-combatants. And of course, a lot of people are looking at President Biden, and they think it's going to be a really interesting political situation in the fall. Because if our young people say, okay, we support most of what Biden's policies are, but we can't go along with them at all on Israel and Gaza, who are you going to vote for?
There's also the third candidate, literally anybody else.
The write-in. I'm writing in Dr. Ed.
There you go. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
think-
right. Yeah, write me in. I'm fine
Or
with
Dr.
that.
Davies.
Yeah, or Dr. Davies. And so I think so I think that's the danger a lot of people are talking about, is that our young people are either going to vote third party, no party, or stay at home, which is the same thing. Okay, we're going to take our last break, and we'll pick up with some final thoughts.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau. From Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio.
Okay, we are back. Okay, well, let's go on to a couple other headlines. Now, that is a bummer. Many of the headlines, by the way, are bummers. So let me ask you about that. So do you guys, because your journals are majors, so I don't want to put you on a spot, but you probably read the news more than most of our other students. Does it bum you out? Does the news bum you out? And is it at a reason to avoid it?
Sometimes, but also I like to be informed, and I feel like more so I get angry than like sad. I just get really angry than anything else, but I need to stay informed. If I can't, then I'm going to be uneducated. I'm not going to be, it's kind of a sign of ignorance to me.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's really like the last thing you said that I like really connect with, like it being a sign of ignorance. I think it's also a sign of privilege to be so unaffected by those headlines that you don't have to read them.
Oh, that's such a good point.
I think that's something we have to recognize. If you are uncomfortable reading the news, it's because you either are the affected party or you are so unaffected that you're
part of the problem.
Yeah. And I think that's something that needs to be kind of acknowledged. Which side of that are you on? And it puts a lot of pressure on the affected parties to fix a problem that they didn't start, and it's just not their responsibility in a lot of these cases. It's not the hurt person's responsibility to heal. It's the person who's hurting.
Yeah, and that takes often change in public policy, which means a change in politics, which the only way you can do that is by voting, and the only way to know how to vote is to read the news. That's my argument, right? Yeah. So there you go. You guys, of course, are already there. So that's great. We just need some others to join us along there. Okay, here's another headline. Let me throw this at you. New York Times. I found this fascinating. DeSantis, this is Florida, so Governor DeSantis signs social media bill barring accounts for children under 14.
I actually read about this last week, and I have a very big argument against this.
Oh, you're against it. Okay.
Okay, so my personal opinion with this is like, this is something for parents. This is not something for the government to do. And also, what if your child is in a position where they are in an abusive relationship with their parents, or something is going on at home and they have no way to reach out except for social media?
Wow.
Like, how are you supposed to ask for help and you can't? It's not really fair. It's a very much disadvantage. Like, I understand trying to keep children under 13 from social media, but also you need to think about it from a different perspective. That's a parent's right, not the government's.
Interesting. You've given this some thought.
Yeah, I think some of my perspectives on it are very similar to yours, and then I kind of end up at a pretty close point to yours, I think. So I grew up homeschooled my entire life, and it was not like homeschool groups. It was like me, my brother, and my parents. That was it. I got very lucky to have very educated, caring parents who gave me a good education, but there is a real issue with homeschool kids being abused. That, I think, could come into what you're saying about that may be their only outlet is social media. And for me, most of my socialization when I was a young teenager was through social media. And so that certainly is like, do we want to take that away from them? But also, I think if we fix the root of the problem, they wouldn't need that outlet in the first place. So I don't think I'm fully educated enough on the subject to have like a complete opinion yet, but I'm somewhere in the same area as you.
Well, that's super perspective that I haven't even given that much thought. Okay, I'm being waved off, so we are running a little over on time. So our producer is Lillian Scott. Thank you, Lillian. Our engineer is Triderica Winters. Thank you. Our videographer is Elena Petletsky. Thank you, Elena. This has been a production of Southern Miss Student Media, and we will be back next week.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.